Good noon everyone, welcome back to your beloved duck chess speedrun, a series about a random variant that I found on chess.com and immediately fell in love with. And without any further ado, let's get into today's content. We get a 2182 rated duck player. E4. Unfortunately I was currently away from home while recording this video, so I actually borrowed my friend's account to record this video, because as a normal human being, I do not remember what my account's password is. D6. Well, but since this guy is also a very strong opponent, it doesn't really matter which account I use anyway. The game of chess is completely fair to everyone. B3. G6. He got on the diagonal first. Okay, that is very bad for me. Bishop G7, but I have to spend the duck on this diagonal. That is very bad. Now he can freely develop his other bishop. Maybe next time I will change the move order to G6 first and then D6 later. Bishop C4. He also had to put the duck on the diagonal, but the bad thing is I don't have a free square to develop my bishop like he did. I will set my duck free instead. Bishop takes G7. King takes G7. Knight C3, Knight C6, Knight E2, Knight F6. Alright, the real game starts from here. Since he has an extra bishop out in the open, it is quite obvious that he is going to trade off his bishop with one of my knights. He did it immediately. At least I should try to avoid it. Knight E5. F4. Knight back to D7. This is going to be a very long game. Bishop back. C5. Bishop forward again. Aha. This guy is arguing that I should have pushed C6 instead of C5, pushing C5 just left him a very safe D5 square. And you know what? I actually think he's right. I messed up real bad here. Rook B8. I guess I'll have to trade off my knight with his bishop. That bishop will be causing too much damage if I don't eliminate it quickly. Knight G3. Of course just capturing won't be a good idea as he can also get his knight there, B6 instead. Now go bishop C6 and trap my knight. Exactly. Bishop A6. Take queen F3. Bishop B7. H3. Okay, this guy will obviously prevent me from ever pushing my e-pawn. So I guess the only way I can make progress from here is to push my d-pawn. E5. Only choice. He moved his queen away from my bishop. D4. Duck takes away e4. He also has to move his knight back. I think this pawn is free. And apparently it isn't. For real, I didn't even see rook h2. That move wasn't even on my radar. My bishop is trapped. A desperado. To be honest, a bishop for two pawns isn't even that bad, especially when we don't really know the piece values of the variant, so trading a bishop for two pawns may actually be a profit. Rook takes h3. F5. Queen c4. Queen c6. I guess we'll just take turns to solidify our position from here. Knight f2 e6 a4, very aggressive. Knight e7 c6, knight d5. C takes d4. I can take his f-pawn, but I have a feeling he actually wants me to do that, so I will take this pawn instead. Regardless, he only has one duck to place, so after he takes my pawn, he can only choose to either prevent my knight from taking his f-pawn, or prevent my queen from infiltrating his base. Either way, I can still choose to go for the remaining available option. He chose to protect the pawn. I'll move my queen in then. Massive activity from the strongest piece. It is significantly more difficult to attack an active queen in duck chess, especially when my opponent has quite an open board in his territory. Rook d1. Duck on c3 very obviously shows his intention of trapping my queen. I'll have to make the board even more open. He's moving over. Queen takes a4. Knight c3. Okay, very unfortunate, but I will have to make this trade. My knight on d5 was amazing, but as life goes on, all good things must come to an end. dc3, queen c6. Knight d3. Rook d8. Knight b4. Queen b5. Queen e3. Queen c5. Rooks really suck in this variant. The only logical thing I can do right now is trying to improve my queen. Queen e2. That blunders a horsey. Queen takes c3. Duck d2 check. King f1. Queen takes b4. Queen d3. That blunders a pawn. King e2. That should blunder another rook. Queen g4, duck f3 check. King f2. Aha. Now if I take his h-rook, I will have to use the duck to block his queen from taking my queen, which blunders my rook because he can take it and use the duck to block the other rook from a recapture. Therefore, I will take the other rook instead. My queen from d1 is also X-ray defending my rook on d8. And since I have two pieces defending my rook in two different directions, his queen cannot take it. Queen b3. I'll give a check. There should be some sketchy checkmate somewhere. We just have to continue checking. King e3. Queen e2. King d4. Aha. Queen to e4. Duck on c3. Checkmate in 1. I didn't even think of that. Well, I mean, how long can he survive anyway? Checkmate, checkmate. Okay, maybe longer than I thought. You know what? Maybe I'll get his queen away from the king. Rook back to b8. Queen takes a4. That blunders a queen. Okay, now that truly eliminated his queen from existence, his king should be dying very soon now. Okay, unfortunately it took me way longer than expected to actually capture that king, but at least now we know the king is very flexible and very difficult to capture. Duck chess speedrun today. 100% win rate.